Good morning, gorgeous. Welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Michelle Daf, and I'm so happy that you're here with me today. We're going to talk about a really exciting topic, and that is you, my love, preparing yourself for marriage, knowing when you're actually ready to be a wife. This is a topic that's really near and dear to my heart only because marriage is a topic that really makes me happy to talk about, and I remember being in that stage in my life where I really wanted to get married, and I was actually obsessed with it. Not necessarily like the wedding day and like being someone's wife, but just the mystery behind like, who am I gonna end up with? What is my life gonna be like? And I was thinking about everything except how am I gonna be a good wife? It wasn't until I actually got engaged that I really started focusing on what it actually means to be a wife and what skills am I lacking and what areas do I need to grow in. And I don't want that to be you. I want you to be able to think about all of these things before you even enter a relationship if you're actually looking to get married. So I'm going to talk today about 10 ways. There are more than 10. We're just going to talk about 10 ways that you can prepare yourself to be a wife, prepare yourself for marriage, whether you are single or whether you are already engaged. So I hope that you are just as excited as I am, because today we are going to talk about some ways that you can prepare yourself for marriage. So I want you to go ahead and sit back, relax, get something to drink, get something to write with, and let's talk about this. So the first thing that I want us to tap into is the idea that being single is a blessing. Being single is a positive thing. Part of this like concept or this fascination or this desire to get married oftentimes leaves us in this place where we feel like we are at a disadvantage, we are in a bad space because we're single. And we don't understand that being single is a blessing. Being married is a blessing too, but being single is positive. It is a good thing. Being single does not mean that no one wants you, that you're not good enough. Being single just means that you are fully complete in who you are, and you are waiting until you meet someone who matches you as a person, matches your destiny, matches your lifestyle, and someone who you approve of to be your partner. So we'll talk more about being single later. If you want like content on singlehood specifically and how to like not feel bad about being single, I can do content on that. But just know being single is positive. And I actually had so much fun being single and learning about myself and learning about the things that I could do then, things that I can no longer do now that I'm married. So that leads into one of the first ways that you know you are actually ready to get married is that you don't have extremely strong feelings about being single or about being married. Some of us as people who are, dating and trying to figure out who our husband's going to be, how our life is going to be like, we are very obsessed with marriage. And that obsession can lead you to ending up with the wrong man. It can lead you to compromising on your standards. It can also lead you to just, jumping the gun. Maybe it is the right man, but it's not the right time. But if you're so obsessed with having that title and having that kind of life in the season that you're in, then you can end up in serious pain. So you're not obsessed with being single, and you also haven't given up. There are some people who are single and they truly have given up. You might feel like you're never going to get married. You're never going to find the right guy. You're never going to meet him because you're not in the right places and you don't have time to date, or you just don't know how to get yourself together as a person, or you don't know what you're doing wrong on these dates. And you just given up. You're just like, you know what? I guess I'll never get married. Okay, those two mindsets are both very dangerous. And that means that you're actually not ready because you don't have hope. And if you don't have hope, then you have a negative disposition. And if you meet someone who could be a potential partner, you're already mind made up. I guess I'm not getting married. Like, I guess I'm going to stop trying. And you might miss out on someone incredible. So if you do not have either mindset, the desperation, I have to, and the, I guess it's never going to happen mindset, then you're on the right track. Another way that you know that you are ready to get married is when you understand what marriage is for, why God created marriage. What is the actual meaning of marriage? Not just the idea of having companionship, which is part of it, but we can have companionship in other ways. You can have friends, you can have family, you can have coworkers. Companionship is something that God wanted for humanity. God gave Adam Eve because he realized that every other animal had a companion and man was alone. He wasn't lonely, but he was alone, and God thought it would be good for him to have companionship. Adam is the one who made Eve his wife. But what was that marriage for? What is marriage for? And what is a kingdom marriage? So there's like marriage, right? And then there's kingdom marriages. And if you are in Christ, kingdom marriage is a completely different mindset. Your marriage has a purpose in the world. It's not about just being in love and having this great life, but it's about you and your husband actually producing something that will shift humanity. And again, we can talk about more of that later, but really understanding what is marriage? What is my role in marriage? How can I start practicing that right now? What am I already doing that's preparing me for it? What has happened to me that's stopping me from really being able to dive into that? So getting into the understanding is going to cause you to have to do some research, read some books, listen to some podcasts, talk to people, get counseled in the purpose of marriage. Another way that you know that you are ready for marriage is when you are able to understand your strengths and your limitations. This means that you are someone who is self-aware and you know yourself. You know what you really struggle with. Maybe people have told you, your own family has told you. Maybe it's been a common theme when you date. People say, dang, you got kind of like a temper or something, don't you? Like you've heard it. And so you know, this is the area I struggle in. I have a really bad temper. And then you can start working on those things. There are many people, and I would say the majority of people do not know their strengths or their limitations. It's not even just the areas that you struggle in. A lot of us also don't know our strengths. We're sometimes like too busy, or we feel too humble to really like lean into what we're good at. Maybe you're really good at cooking. Maybe you're really good at being able to see the problem exactly for what it is when you talk to a person. Maybe you're very good with math and finances and you know how to like balance. I guess no one balances checkbooks anymore, but that used to be a skill that people used to need. Thank God it no longer is, because I'm not good at math. But there are other skills that people are really good at that it's important to know, because when you meet that right person, or if you're already with that person, you know what you bring to the marriage. You know, okay, well, I am really good with organizing. So I know that I'm going to be able to like get this house in order, or I'm extremely skilled at math and numbers, and I can manage the family's finances because maybe he's not so good with that. And instead of going with the culture and saying, okay, the man has to manage the finances, you know that it's okay if you're with a man who isn't very good at that, because you can take on that. And this helps you feel more confident, and this helps you to match yourself well with someone who really complements you, right? So knowing your strengths and your limitations also comes into play, obviously, with your emotions, and knowing what really sets you off, knowing what you need in terms of needing time to cool down, needing no time to cool down. Maybe you're someone who needs a hug immediately. You need him to just grab you and hold you right away, and that's what calms you down. We're all different. And that's a beautiful thing. But you knowing where you really shine and where you really struggle is going to help you to start focusing on working and praying on those things before aligning yourself with someone else. In that same breath of knowing your strengths and limitations, you are also ready to be one with another man when you're able to know how your attitude impacts people around you. Again, this comes back to self-awareness. Are you someone who's able to recognize how your behavior affects people, your coworkers, your family, your pets? Like, how does your demeanor affect people? Do people tend to like to be around you? Do they feel comfortable around you? Do you tend to make people feel nervous? Do you tend to make people feel like they are beneath you? Maybe you have like this sort of arrogance or this demeanor where like people just, I don't know, you just walk around and you're just like, this is so beneath me, and people always feel like they have to be on their P's and Q's and just be perfect around you. Are you one of those people who makes everyone feel welcome and loved? Do you tend to get real snarky and snappy at certain times of the day? How does your attitude affect people around you? Because your husband is going to be the number one person affected by your attitude. If you're someone who has mental health struggles, maybe you are diagnosed with something, how does this diagnosis impact the people around you? What do they need to be prepared for? What do you need to be prepared for? Are you able to be with a person with the things that you have going on with you? These are very serious questions, and this is how you're going to know if you're really ready. If you haven't mastered these very serious issues that you have, you're going to need to, because it is unfair for another person to meet you and think that you're one way when you're not that way. And that ends up becoming a disaster later on when they find out and then they no longer want to be with you. That hurts much more severely when you're married than it does when you have a breakup. So you want to make sure you are honest with yourself and you can truly ask yourself these questions. How do I affect people? Another way that you know that you are ready to be married, my love, is if you are malleable, if you are moldable, if you are someone who can follow. When you're married, your husband is a leader. He's the head of the household, and this is an appointment by God. Okay, so he's the one who's going to have the vision for the family. Are you capable of listening? Do you have issues with authority? Are you at the point in your life where you can say, yes, I can trust and follow my husband, even if he is not always right, because he won't be, even if he makes mistakes, I am able to move along with him. I'm able to be by his side. I am not someone who's going to fight every single thing. And you will know this, again, because this will either be happening in your dating relationships or in your personal relationships. None of these things are going to be a surprise because this is who you are. So you want to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, how do I feel when this man says no? When we were on a date and I wanted to go into the store and I went into one store and then I wanted to go into 2 and 3 and 4 and he says, no, that's enough. We've been to enough stores today. How does that make me feel? Do I say, you don't tell me what to do? No, if you don't want to go, then you know what? You don't have to go. You can stay out here. I'm going to go by myself. I'll get an Uber and I'm going to have a great day by myself. Like, what is your natural response to a man taking authority and saying, this is not going to happen, or this is enough, we've had enough, or this is what I would like us to do? Are you able to say, okay, let me see how I feel about that. Let's work through this. Let's talk about this. Or is it an automatic, you don't tell me what to do? You're going to know this in your spirit. You're going to know this in your soul. You're going to know this in your body. You're going to feel it. It's not going to feel good. You're going to feel this strong tug. If you're still having those issues and you're not ready to be married, because that's part of being married. That's part of being married, and you want a smooth, beautiful, loving marriage. You want your husband to be able to know that he has a wife who's going to be by his side, supportive, understanding, and is able to submit to his God-given authority for the family. Another way that you will know that you are ready to be married is when you are able to have full control over your tongue. If you're someone who is able to say what they want to say, what they need to say in a kind way, if you're someone who's able to take responsibility for the things that she says, if you're someone who's able to recognize when you're saying things you shouldn't say and ask God for help. And are you someone who's able to keep things to yourself? Are you someone who's able to say kind things about people behind their backs? Are you responsible for what comes out of your mouth? If you are, then yes, you're ready for marriage. But if you struggle with outbursts of anger, if you struggle with talking back, if you struggle with lying, if you struggle with gossiping, if you struggle with oversharing personal conversations that you have with other people, if you struggle with your tongue in general, you will know this. You will know that this is a personal area of struggle, and you will need to pray about it and work on it in every single relationship you have. Work on it until it becomes your norm. Because in marriage, that's what it's going to be, a constant communication of you and your husband talking about things, laughing about things, agreeing on things, disagreeing on things, sharing things. And it is all about what you say. And so if you're someone who has no control over what she says, or you're someone who likes to talk about your spouse to other people, if you're someone who likes to complain, if you're someone who likes to nag, if you're someone who likes to say things that are hurtful when you're hurt, then you're not ready. This is not a game. Your marriage is a serious commitment. It is a covenant with God, and you cannot fool around with it. If you're not mature enough to be able to be with the person and control what you say, then you have to work on that before God gives you someone special. Another way that you will know that you are ready for marriage is if you can hear God's voice. This is a really important one, probably the most important one. Hearing God's voice does not mean you're sitting down in bed and God says, Vanessa. No, this is understanding when God is speaking to you and being able to pull that into your private time with God and get responses. This is you being able to read your Bible and hear from God as you read and have questions answered and be able to get directions from God. You're going to need to hear God's voice. This is so important because, first of all, you may end up marrying someone you shouldn't even marry because you couldn't hear from God. Or in your marriage, there are going to be so many things that come up, from where you live to having children and managing your home to things with your body and things with illnesses and family and finances. I mean, marriage is just a full compilation of everything, right? If you cannot hear God's voice, and you're not going to be able to make sound decisions that are going to help your family. You're going to need to spend lots of time in prayer as a wife. You're going to have to cover yourself and your family in prayer, fasting. You're going to have to do so much spiritually because that's what's going to drive everything that's actually happening. The spirit world is actually what drives the world that you're in now. So we don't just live in a world that's like just purely physical. This is a spiritual world, and the physical world is a shadow of the spiritual world. Everything happens in the spirit first. So if you're not able to pull into the spirit world with your relationship with God by hearing his voice and knowing when he's saying, Michelle, don't do that. Stephanie, don't do that. Then you are headed for trouble. You're going to need to hear from God when he wants you to invest in a certain company, when he wants you to watch out for that neighbor, when he's telling you what's going on with your husband because he's been really quiet lately and something just seems off. He's going to tell you these things, but can you hear his voice? Are you so busy scrolling on TikTok all the time and trying to find the new fashion trends and worried about your weave and worried about Pilates classes? Are you so caught up with the world that you are drowning out God's voice? Because God's always talking to you. He's always talking. But most of us cannot hear him. And you have to be able to hear him in order to be a beautiful wife, in order to have a sound marriage. And so ask yourself, can you hear God's voice? Now, I know I said that I had a lot of things to say, and I do, but I'm not going to be able to say everything here. I am going to continue this conversation on my podcast called the Daf Show, and you can listen to this exact episode, and it's going to be a little bit longer, and I'm going to talk about a few more things. Of course, this is a very long list. There are so many things that you need in order to prepare for marriage. It's not limited to the things that I'm talking about. But if this is content that really does help you, let me know in the comments, like the video so I know, because this is something that we can continue to talk about for those of you who really are serious about preparing for marriage. I love you all so much, and I thank you for being here and listening to this, and I hope that you leave me a comment and tell me some things that you know happened to you that let you know that you were ready to be married. I love you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.